screen.
Make sure we get live here. Okay, we're good, we're live. All right, we're gonna get started with the meeting. First thing, we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are going to start the meeting. We're going to skip the register signing for right now and do our consent agenda first, and then we have a signing in to do. On tonight's consent agenda is our public minutes from our last meeting of 6/21, our non-public minutes from that meeting, which are sealed, the rec manifest, the treasurer's report, multiple building permits, multiple land use change tax bills and warrants, and an appointment slip for Justin Doty that we are going to do in just a moment. Can I have a motion to pass consent? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent is passed. And now we will move on to the chief. Is the chief here? Oh, there's the chief.
You made it.
Chief, come on in. Swear in your new officer.
Excellent. As always, thank you for those who are here and those who are watching at home. We have a lot of support from our residents, and it's very important to see you folks here and to know that everybody's watching. In case you haven't noticed, we have somewhat of a theme here. We have another certified officer coming to us. This officer comes with several years of experience, been certified since 2014. He is most recently a sergeant with the Lee Police Department, and we were able to lure him here to our little neck of the woods in Brentwood. So we're extremely happy to have him. Once again, thank you for the support from the top down that we get from this town. All the officers you see here know that you support them, and they enjoy that. It means a lot to them. It means a lot that we get the support from the residents. Support them very much. So without further ado, Justin Doty.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Justin Doty,
I, Justin Doty,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent on me
all the duties incumbent on me
as a sergeant of the Brentwood Police Department,
as a sergeant of the Brentwood Police Department,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution and
of
laws
the Constitution and laws
of
of
the state of New Hampshire.
the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Have your photo op. There you go. The photo op.
So thank you once again, and this is not the last piece of the puzzle, but it's a very important one, so thanks, folks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks a lot. Oh, it's fast. I'm Justin. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Congrats.
We've done this coming around.
Now you get to go again. Now that you're official, you get to go around again.
Congratulations. Do you want to take photos with your family? You're welcome to do that here.
And there was no bloodshed, so
There it is.
I always twitch when they're doing the badge. Great pictures. People like
You're gonna take a family photo?
Yeah, I think
All right, we'll just give them a minute to do some family photos.
Chief, did you want us to take the photo? So you can get in there?
let's get mom and dad. Perfect. And then can you just get one more? Sergeant?
His dad.
You guys want to get one more of those, guys? I just want to get one pose with the sergeant with us. Oh, that'd be great, guys. Come on in for a photo op.
Yes.
Even another time. We still like you.
Okay.
We're getting some on this side.
Keep that over.
Justin and I
I'm all good.
Thank you.
How many cops can you fit in front of the car?
I understand. It's not one of the days.
It's good to be back.
I'm good.
They look way too serious. Come on, guys, give us a smile.
Got it.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
I'm sorry.
Are we doing non-public?
Take care.
Take care.
Enough, Karen. Karen, do we have any non-public for today or anything with the chief?
We have something for non-public, but with Chief Bird.
Okay, is he coming later?
He'll come later.
Okay, so we're good for timing. Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. All right, we will move on to review and sign the register. We had 8.5 hours of overtime for PD, 9.5 for FD, and 22 for highway. I'm assuming some of that was related to the paving jobs, probably. Okay. Looks like we've got a handful of payroll checks here.
I'm just gonna review that. We'll save everyone some time. We have Eli Bean is 218.41, Matthew Bergeron 332.59, Charles Fitzgerald is 83.11, Christian Kuchar is 478.94, Matthew Kuchar is 396.51, Michael O'Brien is 427.18. Total is $1,936.74. Acknowledge it.
Looks good. And then we've got payroll.
Come here when you're ready.
Ready?
Gabriel Lafante is 101.58. Charlene Confaloni is 83.11. Eli Corson is 212.40. Edwin Decatur is 624.56. Jason Grant is 643.99. John Isabel is 295.80. George Calloway is $70.19. Erica Kenyon is 720.26. William Kenyon is 295.65. Peter King is 78.50. Julie Levante is $1,252.31. Hannah Leonard is 208.05. Connor McCollum is 159.30. Aaron Mitchell is 563.73. Nathan Richard is 1,044.30. Benjamin Roach is 576.26. Joseph Bird is 1,110.43. John Bryan is 659.88. Adanar Charnar is 235.66. Alyssa Sanuski is 320.34. Alexander Hall is 457.53. Katrina Tennant 708.65. Trevor Whippy 931.12. Kit Kaiser is 834.31. Thomas S. is 193.93. Katie Blazik Ahern is 989.10. Jeffrey Collins is 1,092.36. Wayne Robinson is 1,056.84. William Dow is 302.21. Elizabeth F. is 208.25. Jason Gagnon is 496.97. Andrew Gray 672.57. Katie Coppola is 235.51. Shayla Durkin is 102.20. Mary Lyons Hall is 270.32. Janice Weavers is 838.28. Kiki Donis Wall 729.65. Acadia Smith is 27.70. Joyce Keeble is 575.25. Jillian Benedicts is 684.86. Karen Clements 1,326.18. Heather Haggett 351.46. Tamara Peak is 772.98. Daphne Was is 843.96. Kendra Brackett is 581.29. Robert Gagnon is 529.60. Matthew Kelly is 786.45. Ken Newland is $1,543.64. Justin Moran is $1,177.82. James Salzman is $1,017.21. Christopher Spitaleri is $855.88. Josh Turner is $195.65. John Ventura is $1,469.50. Jeremy Worcester is $1,025.03. Jerry Brett Ward is $1,189.46.
Total payroll $34,330.02. Oops,
Ready?
Yeah.
Bank of America, $44.67. Bank of New Hampshire is $1,630. Ben's Uniform is $1,387 even. Tree Medical is $332.76. Central Loan Administration is $5,081.86. Citizens is $6,399.50. Two-Way Communication is $280 even. Comcast is $358.89. Connor McComb is $70. Dragon Mosquito is $4,400 even. E&J Auto Parts is $91.48. Eversource is $17.79. Flagstar Bank is $29.55. Frank's Repair Services $222 even. Freedom Mortgage is $22.40. Andrew Gray is $176.05. Hanscom Credit Union is $87.50. Hartman Oil and Propane is $3,181.93. Health Trust is $28,835.17. Choice Eagle is $110.15. Thomas and Heidi Kelly is $32 even. KG Pest Management is $165. Leader Bank is $48.30. Loan Depot is $4,760. Nation Star Mortgage is $49.20. Taylor Negroni is $100 even. Northeast Credit Union is $14.33. Richie McFarland is $3,300 even. Rockingham County Registry is $6.58. Rocket Mortgage is $122.82. Salem 5 is $49.02. Service Mac is $26.70. Shell Point Mortgage Service is $4,425. UniFirst Corp is $122. Trevor Whitby is $70.99.
Total AP, 66,050, 64. Make sure she's got everything she needs. Paper clips.
Plants, right?
Okay. All right, you got your tea?
Do we have recreation checks this week?
Yep, right over there. Okay, thanks for keeping us in line. Now you got everything you need?
You guys all set with them?
Yeah, we're excited.
Yep, they should be all set for you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good couple
Have a
weeks.
nice night.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Joyce.
All right, Chief, I understand we've got you on the docket. Come right up.
Wayne's not here, so I might be some
Frequent
money.
visitor at coming and asking
I
us
know,
for money
I
week
know.
after week, Chief. huh?
Well, I did tell you guys stuff
You
was
did warn
coming,
us,
so
yes.
anyway, thanks for having me here. So, once again, in line with updating equipment to where it should be, we have, and I have Officer Spitaleri, my tech guru here in case I screw up. We need connectivity for each cruiser that we run to be able to do the job that we have with the software that's necessary through Rockingham Dispatch to be able to connect to this building and do everything we do on the road. We currently run a system it's called a puck system. It literally looks like a puck that goes, and I'm not a tech person, but they're in the cruiser. And these are not really great for the uses that we have. We run these cars 24/7, and these pucks are not great in extreme cold or heat, which we clearly have a lot of in New Hampshire. So we find ourselves replacing these every 4 to 8 months, anywhere in between there, and they're $400 a whack. So we run 5 inline cruisers, so you do the math on how often we're replacing those. They're not all at once, but they're staggered, but nonetheless. So what I tasked Officer Spitaleri to do was, if you notice on most cars now, they have that little tiny fin on top. That's not just decorative. The ones that we have on the cruisers now, those are Verizon pieces. They were contracted with the making of the cruisers. So we reached out to Verizon with very little luck. Those are actually made for the connectivity that we want. We had, Chris went out and got a quote, what it would be to activate those. We need 5, but he also looked at the shelf life of 2 of the cruisers, And we figured that the shelf life on those two cruisers is coming to an end, so we're not gonna replace those. So we're looking to replace 3 of them. The quote that I got is twofold. One is for the total install from the company Nevo, who does most of our installs for all of our radios and equipment that we've got. Excuse me, that total is about $1,600. And then the quote for the 3, to activate those 3, is, well, the total cost that is about $4,400. I'm looking to spend up to $5,000 in case there are any other incidentals that we didn't see in here. I don't anticipate any, but I don't want to come back for a mere $600 if I have to. I've spoken with Karen, town administrator. We certainly have money in the revolving detail fund, and we'd like to withdraw from that to update the cruisers. This will drastically improve the connectivity for the officers.
How much are the pucks?
Pucks are $400 a piece.
And you're doing those every 6 months?
Yeah, roughly every 6 months, yeah, 4 to 8, some a little bit less, some a little bit more.
And why are those turning over so quickly? Like they're just not.
The constant usage and the extreme temperatures that we get.
Oh, okay, it's just wearing them out.
Yeah, because we don't have a place to put the cruisers in a temperature control
Yep.
each night, so, or each day for that matter.
And the pucks don't come out, they stay in?
Chris can answer.
They can come out. The temperature is only one aspect of it. These pucks are meant for like if you were gonna go to the park as like a businessman and get an hour worth of internet connection.
So I have hotspot.
It's exactly what it
I have
is.
a Verizon hotspot and I've been using the same one for 8 years.
But to use it 24/7, I've had to replace 3 and redo 3 or 4 in the last year.
So
What do other departments use?
Everyone has pretty much modernized to this system. This antenna, it's an antenna that goes on top of the cruiser. It doesn't get affected by heat, cold weather, water, any of it.
And this is the 4400?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a direct connection into the laptop instead of the puck.
And we won't be replacing it
Every 6 months, they don't get replaced.
Is that cost just to activate, or is there like, I mean, there must be like a monthly or yearly charge to
I
Verizon?
think we pay $40 a month for each puck right now.
Yeah.
It's the same cost for this, it gets rid of the pucks.
So this is mostly just install
It's
cost?
just install cost.
This is just to get the 3 cruisers that we anticipate running for several more years. When we do quote out new cruisers, this will be part of the install. It won't be 44, it'll be much less, but it'll be included in the cost of the install. So this is to start anew with the cruisers we're gonna have for a little bit longer.
So what is it, this is just for 3 cruisers?
Correct.
So is it usually, like that's what we can, will the other cruisers continue to have the pucks?
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah, I'll cycle them through if they do end up dying, but these 2 cruisers that we're not doing are end of life.
They're near the end of life.
and how much, so you've already built into the budget, the puck system, I assume it's already built into the budget, right?
That would be paid for out of the detail revolving fund if they were purchasing it onto a new cruiser. The
But the ones that
regular
are there now,
costs
if
would
they
be part of their
die and they
budget.
have to go get a new puck, where are they paying it from?
They would have to pay for that out of their budget. And the monthly maintenance fees that are paid through Verizon would be part of their regular budget.
Which sounds like it would be unchanged.
What does a puck cost?
$400.
$400. Okay.
So it's $1,200
Per year.
every 6 months, it's $2,800 roughly.
We just need a motion? or-
And with new cruisers coming in, we won't even be having the laptops that we have right now.
That's the other thing.
They won't be, this system won't be built into the new cruisers that we get because IMC is going away. And
This laptop system?
the laptop system we have right now will become obsolete.
So what would you guys be going to?
We'll stick with AT&T and I can buy the laptop directly from AT&T with a network card.
It comes inside the
Yeah,
laptop?
there is no more wiring system, it's not a bunch of
What's-
pieces put together.
What's the cost to get, because I know that was the option with me, I can either get a
Yeah.
Wi-Fi card or I can get one that actually goes into the
They're not
computer.
compatible
Do
with
they
the
don't,
control PCs we have.
can't do it?
So would you still be using the fin with,
With,
The
with,
new-
just with these cruisers, with the new cruisers we get, no, there will no longer be a fin. It'll just be a
It'll
chip
just be a
inside the new
card.
laptops
Oh,
that
so
we
this
get.
is truly just temporary for these 3
This is to get
cruisers?
these 3 cruisers to their end of life, which is
Gotcha.
several years. We're not talking we're replacing these cruisers next year.
Right,
Those other 2 are coming up within the next 2 to 3 years, so.
We sit on the side of the road on the stop, we have all the information in front of us, and then we try and query something else, and it just decides to kick it. So we have no more information in front of us. It's just kind of it's a nuance of it.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before I forget, one of the Fords was coming towards me today and there's a headlight up.
Or the Explorer. Is it LED bar?
I believe so, yeah.
It's going in on Thursday.
I saw it coming towards
That's the
me.
same one.
You did? And I'm like,
Everyone
it's winking at me.
He's my maintenance guy, he's all over these things. Thanks, folks, I
All right,
appreciate it.
thanks,
As
Chief.
usual, thank you.
Glad I wasn't alone, because I was like,
Coincidental, man.
And Karen, it looks like all documents that were needing signing were already in the consent agenda. We don't have
Yes.
anything separate. Nice, okay. Looks like we have Kip for Highway Shed. Come on up.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I assume you've got some information on pricing.
We've got some spec sheets here.
Okay, so we put this out RFP wise and got no takers.
Right.
So, there's a contractor that's been doing some work in town, he's done a few jobs for the town. And so I reached out and he took some time and did some pricing. So, now I have a price, and if it's something that you're looking to go forward with,
what's total square footage of this building?
5,000 square feet. Is there anybody here that wasn't here prior when I had the drawing of the building?
Probably Russ and I. I think that was before.
So this is just a small floor plan and just a front elevation, if you just want to get a feel for it. So basically, the building is 800 square feet of office space with showers, and it's 4,200 square feet of unconditioned space for parking the vehicles that sit outside.
And remind me, this is a new building or a replacement building?
New building.
New build.
So right now, the existing building is heated. It doesn't have an office space. And it's overcrowded. I'll just leave it at that. There's certain equipment that needs to be inside the heated building in the winter, but most of the equipment that the town owns is sitting outside.
Certainly the bulk of this build is just unheated space.
Correct. I did this 3 years ago, I believe, with the building a little bit bigger, but with no office space or anything, you know, it was gonna be something later on. And that came in at about $500,000. So,
This is,
This is-
actually ran out at 109 a square foot.
yeah,
It's reasonable for what I would expect. What do we have in the budget for this?
well, what I thought was in the budget is not there. Apparently, there's been no money being put into the,
I thought we had a capital reserve.
You had a capital reserve fund that had almost 400 in it, and then money was withdrawn to build the 2 salt sheds at the highway shed, and that money was not replaced.
That was what, 60,000?
Yeah, so
roughly
there's-
60, and then they did some paving down around the lower end,
So
which
there's about
added to that.
When was,
Three there now?
when was this?
2019, I think was when
Yeah.
that project was completed.
So it was a general reserve, not specific for,
It was a capital reserve for any highway
For any
buildings
highway.
or
okay.
So we probably have to do a warrant article
I would think
for
so.
this.
If it's, because it says 545,
Yeah.
right? That's the,
Yeah, we'd have to,
I think it should probably be.
we don't have, what do we have for impacts money right now?
the highway department doesn't qualify for impact fees because you can't put money aside for infrastructure.
So it has, yeah, we have no choice, it's gonna have to go to warrant article.
And I know this is probably a dumb question, but is there any federal money that could possibly be available for a project like this?
You could use your ARPA funds for this, but then you would be taking it away from your.
No, I mean new grants that we could apply for.
Possibly, but then that would be, I mean, there'd be timing,
It's a warrant article anyway. so-
right?
I have a question.
Bill, what's it?
Yeah,
We didn't spend $400,000 doing the 2 salt sheds. The salt shed and, the salt.
no, it sounds like there's some money left in the
We
fund.
didn't spend $400,000 doing that and paving.
Well, we have 300,000 in there right now,
Right now.
Yeah,
so we spent about
Because I heard you say we don't
60,000.
have anything left. and I was like,
No, we don't have the sufficient funds.
Enough.
Yeah, we spent 60,000 on those salt sheds and salt and sand.
Yeah.
And then the lower parking lot, they paved that area too.
So
So
we know exactly what's.
My question is that we,
This one,
we nothing added to the
295.
capital reserve fund, even though we knew we needed to do it, how do we?
We should have probably replenished that money into
Money
the,
we spent.
but we probably would have had to add more money because this is coming in at 500 and, I just have the number.
What was the original fund,
545.
400?
545, original was 400, so
400K.
we would have had to come up with 145,000 anyway, so it would have to go before the town as a warrant article no matter what.
Thank you.
So, how long is this pricing good
I
for?
was gonna say, it's a long time delay till the next.
No, it's, you're gonna be doing it again, and you can expect it
To be
will
different?
be, 15-20% more.
And there's nothing we can do because we just don't have that money right now. There's no, we're gonna come up with 250,000.
Assuming we don't have that leeway in the budget.
If we did, then
Do we
we'd
know
have a lot
why,
easier time.
do we know why this wasn't on last year's warrants? Is it just a miss?
so I'm not sure why it wasn't on the 2020 warrant, and then 21, everything was, because of COVID, we didn't put very much on the town meeting warrant for 21 or 22.
Could you ask
Those are
him,
very slim.
how much would it cost for us to do right now just the shell?
Sure.
Because if we
Yeah,
just do
there's
the
some we could do
shell,
with the
and I have
300
the
thing.
shell, so if I do the slab and I do the shell, we know we have
So-
roughly 300,000 to play with. If I can get that done, at least now I have the bones. Then I can
Different
go and
ways you
do
can
the
go
finish
about
stuff
it.
afterwards.
The building is split, as you notice, it's like 2-level. The front portion is 1 story, the second is as high as 2-story, even though it's open. You could do just the cold storage area, and you could build the whole other part at a different time. I don't know if I would pull the slab and leave it for 2 years. I would,
I would
Well,
recommend
build
doing
it
the
separate.
slab and then try to do the shell. That's
what I'm talking about is the office area versus the parking area. So if you had a place to get your vehicles undercover, yes. And then you go for the office and all that separately. And so that's a possibility. If the builder wants to, to do that.
If you don't ask, you don't get, so I would say,
It might be worth inquiring, because we said we have 295 in that fund now.
so if we can get him to at least start it, it might end up saving us 15-20%. I'd much rather save, I'd much rather have it impact me 15% on 200,000 than have it impact me by 15 to 20% on 500,000.
No, I mean, that's all the thing. And I went to it and saw places that could or couldn't be cut, and it didn't add up to enough to make anything better. But we can look at just 4,200 square feet of the building, well, approximately, or 4,000.
Yeah, and just doing the shell right now at this point.
But not pouring the whole foundation at the same time.
I'm sure the builder would have advice for us on what they feel is feasible to do
Well,
in advance versus not.
right, and we'd already talked about extending the time frame out, having that portion of it up and ready for the winter, and extending the whole time frame out a year, because most of the materials are taking months
Delays to get in.
and months. So,
I'm seeing an average of about 8 months for me to get everything I need.
so, you know, I've already kind of got that part figured in. Now the question is, if he wants to do it in those, you know, in section.
So, is there, precedent for doing something like that, does anyone know, in terms of, you know, starting to do a project based on the assumption that a warrant article is going to pass?
Well, I think what you would do is if you do the shell, then we would do a warrant article.
The warrant article would be like for an addition, so it
Right.
would be a functional building even if the warrant article
Right.
failed.
Yeah, total separate building,
Yeah.
that's how I would
Okay.
determine it.
So it'd almost be like, I'm looking to do this, and then if it doesn't pass, then you can try to do, can we do a capital reserve where maybe we're putting some money aside, and then we have to worry about it in a couple of years, but the problem is, the way the market's going right now with construction, it's just going up.
Yeah, I appreciate all that, 100%, and I'm not disagreeing with the approach, I'm just asking that, you know what I mean,
I mean, I
Sure,
know,
that-
Stratham, for example, they had that with their fire station, they went and put their fire station in, and it cost them, I think, an extra $1 million, so they had to come back the
yeah.
next year and say.
I know, I've read enough stories of projects starting with the assumption they were gonna get a permit or this or that, and then, you know, so that's the only reason I'm
The
asking.
good thing is, this would just be like what Kip mentioned, cold storage. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be, we already have a functioning office, so to speak, right now. We have a functioning thing, but they just need a place to get these things undercover, so we're not getting these
The rest issues and everything.
$300,000 paperweights.
So the other thing I'll just bring up, because we're right in the midst of it, so the things that are missing off this is you need a well down there. You know, you've gotta have a new well. And there's money in that particular bid for, changing out the septic, another tank and a line. But until we really got into it, don't know exactly what that is. And then you've got your, electric feed, overhead versus underground. You know, so there's some other little, there's chunks of other money in there. So,
That are not reflected in this.
that are not
Quote.
reflected in that.
That could be another $60,000.
It could be, most of it's in here, like I say, like the heavy stuff, tank, lines, but there's still items. So just know that.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that, and just knowing enough to be dangerous, you're at 545.1. I could be looking at 600,000 easy.
Yeah, you know, and so if we cut it, 12 grand out on the heating system and we change from 2 locker rooms with showers to 1 and we did this, that, or the other, that money that you saved is then not gonna get spent on the well and the electric service. I mean, the service is in there as far as the amperage and everything, but not the line coming off the road. So,
What phase
How-
are you looking to go in there with? for
oh, just a
electric?
regular 200 amp panel, because we're just running an office and lights.
Okay.
In essence, and all the electricals written in there. I just figured 2 lines of lights, an X number of receptacles, GFIs on the outside.
And Kip, I know Wayne's not here, but I'm assuming the long-term cost savings to the town is reflected in like the longer longevity of our vehicles that are not stored outside in the snow and the rain. And I mean, is there sort of a big picture projection of sort of a break-even point or sort of just a,
I
gut
don't-
feeling of
I don't think that
cost
projection's been
savings?
done, but it's some of the obvious stuff, some of the equipment that doesn't have cabs, whether the upholstery gets frozen,
Yep.
split out, you're changing out that stuff. You got rust occurring, you got grease washing out of joints.
The other thing we ran into.
It's the safety aspect.
Safety is because
Because
right
of
now
stuff.
they jam everything that they can during the winter into that small shed.
Right.
And then, now they're trying to work around, so if they have to change something or work on something, they don't have any space to do it, so you kinda need to put it under cover.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I was just wondering sort of if there was if we need to sell it to the town as a warrant article, it might be helpful to have sort of a big picture
Yeah, I would be
projection.
going off of safety. I know we've had some incidences before where, and I'm sure if Wayne was here, he'd even tell you where, like the plow
The blade.
came down on his foot, the blade came down on his foot when they were trying to change it, because they have to lift it up with the chains. They were working in a small space, so they tried manhandling it versus using the equipment.
Sure, no, it makes sense.
So,
Yeah, and if you ever go in the shed, when all the plows are in there,
it's
you're,
tight.
you're walking like through narrows, being
Yeah.
between 10-foot tall, heavy metal blades.
It's a mouse maze when
Yeah.
you go in there.
Yeah.
Just to get to the office is a mouse maze, and then they have that bathroom that's kind of like,
Yeah.
you have to squeeze into that thing too, so.
John, were you gonna say?
If we were to do it in a phased approach, would it be possible to get some sort of price lock, I'm just, if we say, okay, we're gonna put $300,000 into it now, but then we end up not really saving anything on the back end. That's my concern.
Yeah, my thing is, if it goes up 20%, that could be a $600,000 building, that could be, you know, an extra 120,000, so I'd much rather do a phase approach and say, all right, I'm gonna put $300,000 into like a carport Sally type of building where I can pull this stuff in there, and that alone would save us approximately $60,000.
But as long as the cost was broken out
Yeah,
that way, that's kind of what I'm saying, like,
yeah.
I don't want it on the back end to be like, oh, well, yeah, but now it's gonna,
Yeah.
you're gonna spend the $720,000 anyway, you know. That's my,
I think you basically just have to chunk it out into like two totally separate.
You'd almost have to
projects.
come back in with a, kind of like as if I was retrofitting, because now I'm gonna say, all right, well, I did this, but now I really want it to do this too, so now can you add this into another proposal?
Well, let
And
me
then
put
hopefully
it,
they come in at less than $300,000.
the rest of that building isn't gonna be the same as part of what it is now.
Right.
It's gonna be a totally different bid at a different
Right.
time and space.
so it'd be a totally different bid.
It'd be
Absolutely.
another
Okay.
RFP.
Because all the stuff we're talking about now, the price holds if the contract's awarded, because that's where the prices are, and the stuff's already has to be deposited on and bought out 6 months in advance. So the contractor's pretty well covered, he's not looking for a 10-day window, you know, like that. But when it comes 6 months, a year from now, wherever the prices are, that's what that office area or whatever will be at that time.
So it sounds like next steps would be for us to circle back with the contractor and see if they're amenable to doing
Yeah, I'll see if he wants
a
to.
partial 300K job.
Do part of it. I mean, I introduced some of this to him earlier, because I never know what I can sell,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I haven't won the lottery, so I can't pay for it.
Okay. So you'll come back to us and let us know what they have to say about that.
Yep, right off pretty quick, because the same thing,
Yeah.
he has a schedule and
Yep.
it'll be another housing or condo project that
Yep.
slides in.
Okay. Anything further on that? Anything else you had, Kip?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
I'll take my sketch back.
I think it's down here.
Ah, right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good evening all.
Thanks, Kip.
All right. Anything else that you have, Karen?
Not for public session.
Do you want to
Okay.
address the bridge, when we went down there and looked at that today?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, so we went down and looked at the bridge today.
The-
On Mill. So it looks like they're gonna be going into, probably 3 weeks. That's when they're looking to kind of do the whole thing. They were loading the sandbags today, and they had a lot of people out there when we went down there, this morning to take a look at it. We still have to address some of the underpinning areas and stuff like that, but project's moving along. I think they're gonna be doing the water diversion of the sandbags and stuff should be ready to go for tomorrow. I don't know how the rain today, it was very minimal. I don't know how it's gonna affect them, but they're moving along pretty well. And the only other thing that came up was the trees that they had cut down. They're gonna remove some of the stumps, but they have to be careful of some of the stumps that actually, the roots and stuff had started growing into there, so they have to have the engineer go out there, because if they pull the stumps, they might be compromising all the rocks that are basically being held together. So Bob Stevens has to go out there and analyze that, because I actually went over the guardrail and over towards the thing and looked, and if they pull those out, I'm gonna watch this thing just tumble down, so. And then you're gonna be unhappy.
The other portion is, we looked at guardrails. So the original plans that were approved shows the guardrails within the scope of work. The actual guardrail that's on the downward side of the road has about 30 extra feet of guardrail. So if we replace the full length, it's gonna be about another 2,500. So they're going to firm up that pricing, but just a heads up that they might be coming back and asking for a change order to increase the guardrails for that extra linear
That's
feet.
separate from the discussion we had with Wayne a couple weeks ago about a
Yes.
different section of guardrail, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
Wayne's
on the-
section was.
Was further.
After the
Further down.
hydrant,
Yep.
it's actually, so when you come out of Fellows, so if you're driving out of Fellows, you know, you got all that water space in front of you, that's where you kinda want
Right,
to
it's a
put that,
different
and there's a
section.
fire hydrant that comes up over there.
So this is just extending the existing project a little bit more than it needed to be.
Well, so the guardrail that's there now, there's a piece like this, and there's a piece, actually,
Your artistic skills are being
are
put to.
stellar, right? So the guardrails, so the dam is over here.
Yep.
The bridge is over here, the bridge comes out like this. So the existing guardrail is here,
Mhm.
and then the scope of work basically ended here, so that's where the plan set ended. There's a little piece of guardrail right here that's currently existing, and if we were to replace it, it would cost about $2,500 because of the extra linear feet.
Okay, it just for some reason wasn't on the original plan.
Right, because it's not in the scope, because the bridge is just right here.
Gotcha.
So that's where it stopped. And then when WP Davis was out and they started measuring, that's when they cut that.
Okay,
And it's got,
Gotcha.
you know, the guardrail that's there right now also has, the old footings, so I assume they're probably.
Needs to be updated, yeah.
And it is pretty rusted, so.
And then one other piece is we're still working with the dam owner to try to get him to sign a waiver to allow us to use his land for access to the bridge. So we've got about 3 weeks to work with him on those final details.
and if that doesn't work out,
They can't do the riprap. Part of the bridge ties into his dam area, and if that doesn't get worked out, then we won't have the ability to actually put the riprap underneath that section of his area. That was one of the things we talked about this morning, that they're gonna have to touch base with engineering of, if we can't do that, how does that affect this project? Kinda like if we pull out those tree stumps, well, what happened now? So I think those are things that Bob Stevens, when he goes out there, is gonna have to analyze that, because there is a good likelihood if this doesn't get worked out, then we gotta figure out an alternative around it, and we can't.
is it looking likely to be worked out?
Perhaps the indemnity that was originally proposed, the scope is too broad, and he wanted it in perpetuity. So I would like to see it amended to limit it to the scope of the project and only the timeframe in which our contractors are out there.
Because we don't wanna have, we don't wanna assume the liability on them.
Right.
Forever.
Right. Okay, so we're just working out the legal language.
And the majority of the dam is in Fremont anyway.
Right.
I think we have 2 feet,
It's not much in
and
there,
unfortunately, we have to rip out
it's just rocks.
2 feet.
It's just rocks.
And
Okay.
Stack them in sandbags there, I don't know.
So I'm sure they'll give us an update if that gets worked out.
Yes.
I have another question about the.
Sure.
dam. It was my understanding that the dam owner was ordered by the state some time ago to address the dam,
Yes.
and he's been in court and has done zip. And my question is, what happens if he continues to have that impudent attitude of, I'm not gonna do anything, I don't have to. The state can take me to court, the state can sue me, the state can fine me, whatever they wanna do, because that's what's happened in the past.
Mhm.
So I'm curious what the town is, how the town's gonna approach that.
Well, we have to let the state basically take care of it, because that has to deal with, the environmental aspect with the dam and everything else, and the majority of that dam is actually in Fremont, so we really won't have I mean, we only have 2 feet. So what's our tax bill, right? You know, if I got 2 feet and the whole thing's, 18 feet, I only have so much percentage. So our tax bill comparatively to what Fremont's tax bill, I'm sure is huge, and I'm not even sure if the tax bill is gonna get paid.
No.
So it's not, so.
Well, the state seems to be moving at glacier speed, that's
But
what.
if you remember when we did North Road in Prescott, we took out the Y there, and we made that decision because it was on the state's budget to do it in 2035 or 4. And we were like, well, we're gonna do it now, we're already paving the road, I'm not gonna rip it up in feet. So we made that decision.
So we could make that decision, though.
I don't think we would, because if we went and took that on with that dam, we'd be looking at millions of dollars to address that bridge. And right now, and I talked to the engineer today when we were out there. I went over the guardrail with him and we were looking at it because I was concerned that the overall condition, concrete is definitely in the state of decline. The good thing is it's not holding back water anymore because he opened up the floodgates, so there's nothing holding back any water, so it's just kind of like a stream trickling through it, basically. And as long as there's no dam, it's not doing anything, so. But I can tell you there's some metal parts, as we were looking at it today, they're falling off. And that was one of the things that I mentioned today, because being an insurance guy. So what do you do to make sure these guys don't get hit by a piece of metal? Because there's pieces of large chunks, I mean, maybe half the size of this table, that are literally falling off and in the water. That's stuff that they have to address, but that's another reason, if we don't get permission to go on that property, that 2 feet, I don't wanna touch it, because I think it's one of those things, if I go like this, or I sneeze the wrong way, as this whole thing comes down, what's our risk for that?
And there's always kids out there fishing, always.
I don't
So
wanna
what
end up
happens if
assuming that we're
falls
gonna
in
have
the
to pay
water
a couple
when-
$1 million
when the
because
water's
this bridge
up? What if he
collapsed
falls in the
because
ground?
we blew on it.
Whose responsibility is that?
Yeah, well, right now it's his responsibility.
Yeah, I understand that, better be.
Well,
Sounds like, I'm assuming our council is advising us on
Yes.
if this goes south. Okay.
but that's one of the things that we talked about, is if he doesn't give us permission and we don't work this out, because he wants to have in perpetuity of, I don't wanna touch it, because
We'll
I
have
think
to
it's.
figure out if we can do the project without.
It's basically it's a fragile area, so, like, don't pull up those stumps, because if I compromise the rocks, so
Sounds good.
that's how that works.
So we'll
That's where we're at.
we'll get some updates when we find out what's happening. Okay.
Yeah.
Any updates from other boards or from other board members? No? The Swayze paving was done, looks great. I don't know if everybody saw it at the parade.
Yeah, and I
It's
saw
really
they were
good.
out there today, I think looking at the,
Nice.
the stuff they put on the side of it so it doesn't cave in, and they were out there today looking at that when I drove by.
That's looking good. Any other updates from any other boards?
Conservation isn't that, so.
No, I don't have anything from the boards, I just had,
Yeah.
whenever we get to general issues.
Yeah.
In the interest of not, sort of pushing, I know we're gonna have, non-public with Chief Bird, but I wanted to throw 2 things out there that just fit in the category, or one thing in the category of just me sort of learning more, and that's about the county courthouse that I brought up a couple weeks ago, building over on North Road. And I guess it would be helpful for me to understand the situation as it is and sort of the history there and our relationship with the county and I read about it in the paper and then, I kind of get the idea that they do whatever they want with their property, and I know that, it's just something we accept that we have, these complexes there, but I just like to kind of understand it a little bit better, and I don't know who has the history on that, or.
Andy is probably,
Okay, so.
because he was at the sheriff's for years.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the town of Brentwood really had no
We wouldn't.
major
so-
say or.
No, all
because
of
that
that
was
would
a
be
county.
done through the county and
Yeah.
through, so it would have been voted on by the delegation.
Yeah.
But Juke Gates, she's the facilities manager for the county. I think she would be the best point of contact at the county level.
Okay.
And she would be able to take you through the entire project.
Is that something that I should do, or are you saying she'd come in and talk to us?
Either, whatever your preference is.
Well, what's the feeling to it?
I think it'd be interesting to know, sort of, I know we had some questions about, traffic, parking, and they had said, oh, it's not gonna be that big of a deal.
right now, it's in limbo.
It's in limbo.
The project altogether?
Well, nothing's started, it doesn't
I
look.
thought they already approved it, no?
They did.
They're dealing with a metal lark.
Oh, there's an environmental
I got
pitfall.
Somebody spotted a metal lark in the field.
Wasn't me.
They've already moved the building around once because they had an issue with grades. When
Because
they
it was
moved the
supposed to have
building,
started
they had
already, I
to-
think.
They ran into clay, which changed the design of the building again. And so it's kind of in limbo at the moment.
That's good to know.
They're dealing with the state on the bird issue and fish and game. There's also an issue, they may have to move a well over there. A couple of things have come up in the. More than one. Right. In the recent.
So that's why we haven't seen much happening over there.
And then once I think the construction gets underway, then fire and Kip would be meeting with the county once a week as the project progresses.
Bob, I know you were gonna say something about that, or whether you were.
I knew something happened when we did Prescott Road, where we had to move, didn't we give something of the land to them or something like that?
They gave us an easement so that we could remove the trees, and then we have the easement, but the trees were never removed because of the pushback from the residents.
So I knew there was something going on with Prescott Road, and I don't think this is just gonna be offices, right? The courthouse is staying where it is, right?
No, they're
The
gonna
whole
move the
thing's
registry.
Whole
I
thing?
think.
Because the courthouse is state-owned.
No, that's not the plan.
The courthouse?
Oh, just
So
the,
it's just the registry and the county.
Over there is the office for the prosecutors, office for deeds. They're gonna renovate the sheriff's department, they're gonna put in a drug treatment facility over there.
okay, that makes
They're
more
gonna
sense.
expand the sheriff's department, and they're gonna, for the jail, they're gonna put in a drug treatment facility for, what, 80 beds? Yeah.
You just said 80 beds.
80 beds.
80
For in-house drug
Treatment.
treatment.
Yep.
It'd be good for us, so we can.
So
Productive citizens.
So that, appreciate it. So anyway, well, I appreciate more direct information, so however, if you
Yeah, we could probably try to get an update from them on some
They,
of the
they
details.
held a briefing that I attended before, I don't remember when it was, before you guys were on.
Like a status update?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And
Do
so
they
maybe,
come before the planning board or no?
no, they don't have to, but they offered it to all town employees or something, I don't know. It was back
It might be worth checking in
November.
with them, if we could
Remember
do
that.
another status update.
All right, so the only other thing I had was the increase in electricity costs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's coming, it's gonna hit, and I just
August
wanted to
1st.
float that maybe, and maybe we can talk about it next meeting, but, when Andy's here, but I didn't know if there's anything more that we can do to make sure, this is not some slight increase,
It's 112%.
yeah. And
Right.
so I know there's a list of things in that letter that the Eversource person had mentioned that, might be able to help people, but, so anyway, just wanna throw that out for maybe discussion before that hits, if there's anything else we can do.
And town budget wise, so the supply portion is going up from 10 cents to 22 cents, I believe is what that letter said, starting August 1st. So that will look about like 35 to 40% increase on our total.
Can
Yeah, because the
we
supply
lock in
portion
with
is-
some of the other energy companies?
We can't
Like
because
direct? Yeah, because we're just started.
well, because we're in that metering contract,
Uh,
so we don't want to impact that as well. But revision will be here on the 16th, so maybe they'll have some more insight on other things that we could do to help offset that portion of our bill.
Okay, we'll have Energy Week. Energy
Yeah, right.
Week,
And our fuel costs in highway and fire, fire and police, they're floating at about 50% right now, so they're sort of right on track. The highway budget has depleted their fuel line. So Chief Ventura was having Kendra look into getting on the state bid for fuel, and she's been working on that paperwork there.
All right, thank you.
The costs.
Appreciate it.
Okay, any other select board business?
The only thing I was gonna ask is, and then one of the concerns we had with doing the new shed was the fuel containers. I wonder if we get a better rate, to see if we can get bigger tanks, I'm not sure.
Because those will have
We
to
have
be
diesel
relocated
and
to the
gas on
project
there.
anyway.
Could ask you.
Because then you can get a better rate. If we're looking at 30% increase, 40% increase, that's huge.
Yeah, might be worth asking.
And the communication subcommittee next meeting is next Thursday, the 14th.
That's the second meeting.
Yes. I believe it's at 6:30.
And it's here, or in the same room?
It'll be here because planning's not meeting that night.
Great. All right, I think we're at the end of our agenda. Any other public comment for tonight? Liz?
This is for yourself, I think I read that we don't have any required personnel, correct?
Not at the moment.
Okay, and I wanted to know, what is the total of full-time and part-time police that we have now?
8 full-time.
8 full-time?
Yes.
That was including the gentleman that was sworn in today?
Yes.
We approved an additional position to cover a military deployment of approximately 13 months that is occurring with one of our officers.
Right, does that mean 9, or does that mean?
It means,
No, that's the 8.
it means the 8th because that person will be
Gone.
unavailable.
Yeah, no,
It was
what
to
about,
keep us level.
Part-time?
4 part-time.
Okay. And so in our budget for the current year, it's 370.
Yes.
And do we know when our permanent seventh or whatever is going under employment?
October?
Yeah.
October, I believe. So it was a separate approval by the select board to cover that.
So will we be overextended on that budget? You know, because we have some, July to October.
No, because we didn't have a sergeant in place, and now we're
So
into
we had
July,
some-
so we still have money,
We still have money.
but
We
we still have
anticipate,
to, you're required to, we still have to staff the department.
No, I get it, okay. One other question
We
I had
anticipate
was-
it to be flat for this year.
One other question I had, I thought that there was something that Chief Ventura, when he was asking for the new equipment,
The
I
pucks.
thought he said something about 16,000, and then it was 4 to 5,000.
16,000, I think, was
He
radios.
said 1,600.
1,600, he said, I believe,
Oh, 1,600.
was
What was that?
the install, I
That was the
think.
install cost.
So it was 1,600
Per-
plus 400?
No,
No,
total is all
1,600 per cruiser.
So that was the 44.
So 3 cruisers, yeah,
44 was the total.
44 was the total number he gave us, but he said something like,
5,000.
We approved 5.
5,000. So is that what you voted on, was the 5? It was a little hard to
Yes.
tell what that. So that 16, so it's 1,600, not 16,000. I'm just getting a little.
per cruiser.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, can I have a motion to go into closed session?
This is for hiring and for legal.
Hiring and legal, all in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Morgan?
And then turn off the camera.
What's the non-public for?
Hiring.